Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Dirty Number 30. It's the Fray. My name's Derry. We've been gone for a bit, but we're back, and tonight we've got a banger of a show. It's a hell of a show. We got some special guests, and tonight we're going to be talking Ultra Street Fighter 4 with those special guests. Speaking of the special guests, introducing first. Earlier today, we told you guys that Mike Ross was going to be on the show tonight, but he had to step out at the last minute, replacing him and upgrade the punniest guy in the business. Twitter.com/JChensor. It's James Chen. How are you, James? Hello, James.
I'm doing good. If I'm an upgrade from Mike, does that mean I get third place? Hello? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Hello? Hello?
Is this mic on? Hello, joke. Is this
my
on?
mic? Can other people hear me? Hello?
Yeah, everyone
Hello?
can hear you, James.
Oh, okay. No, I was asking if I'm an upgrade from Mike, does that mean I get third place or what? How does that work?
Automatically third place, yes. All right, and then coming to us from the East Coast, he's famous now. Apparently, he won for the very first time. He won Next Level Battle Circuit last night. I guess that Twitch has to put money on the line for this guy to get interested enough to win something. It's twitter.com/NYCFurby. Arturo Sanchez, hello.
Hey, what's up, Derry? How are you? And
Good, man. I haven't seen you since NCR. It's good to hear your voice.
Yeah, chilling, man. Always a pleasure to be on with you. And yeah, shout out to Twitch for hooking it up.
What are you going to do with all that money now?
Probably either invest it back in the stream equipment or buy a ticket to a tournament.
All right.
It's like, well, expect me to.
You're not going to make investments of a different kind? Investments? You're not going to diversify your online portfolio at a tournament?
One step at a time. I mean, like, I'm not putting my tournament winnings to my 401k. Like, come on now.
All right. And last but not least, joining us on the program tonight to help us break down the discussion about Ultra Street Fighter 4, which was released on Tuesday. It's twitter.com/thecombofiend. Peter Rosas joins us on the program. Hello, Combo Fiend.
Hola, gentlemen. How's it going?
How's it going? All right. So I'm going to go. Obviously, a lot of the questions are going to be fired off towards Combo Fiend, but before we start with that, I want to go to the two players on the panel. I'll go first to Art. You won, basically the first streamed tournament post-release for this game last night. Give me your first impressions of Ultra Street Fighter 4, Arturo.
I only played it for 2 days, so I don't know anything. It's still a new game, and it's kind of random, to be honest. Like, I don't know what's going on. Seriously. There's so many new things. It's like every time I play a match, all I keep saying is, wow, he can do that now? I'm like really confused with what's going on.
James, your first impressions.
So far, it looks good. I mean, interestingly enough, with Art winning using mostly Dalsum, that was one of those characters that we were kind of worried about. Like, is he going to be good? But, Art showing that he's definitely capable enough of winning, so that's definitely a good sign. And then at Wednesday Night Fights, we had Zangief win. So, I don't know, looking good so far. I'm eager to jump into it myself, so.
Art, you played Dalsum last night, and like James said, a lot of people were kind of wondering if that was going to be a dead character come Ultra.
Yeah, it's kind of too early to tell. To be honest, a lot of the characters that I won against are characters that Dalsum can fight in neutral. Like, he already does pretty good against Dudley. I play Smug a lot, and against Geef, with his balance changes, his neutral only got better, so it makes sense that he would still be okay against Geef. The real question is, like, how he's doing his bad matchups, which I don't know yet. And he probably still loses the same ones, but, it's still too early to tell.
Who among the new cast is kind of making you worry a little bit? Which characters of the 5 new characters are you kind of concerned about as a Dalsum player?
I'm definitely worried about Hugo. I think a lot of people try to say he's garbage, but I don't know, man. It's like he has some stuff. I'm worried about him.
Well, I saw Ultra David on Twitter earlier today refer to him as Dalsum Grappler, And I think that's actually kind of an appropriate description of that character. He's a super long range character.
It's crazy. Like his
Right.
his jump attacks are so far. It's like you think like they wouldn't hit you, but like they do, and like it's kind of crazy. I was like, wow, you have that much range.
Speaking of crazy, this must be a crazy week for you. Combo Ultra dropped on Tuesday. How's your week going so far?
On Tuesday, that was Monday going into Tuesday. I guess things didn't update when people were expecting it to. So I got calls for that. That was a little stressful because everybody was fiending. You know how it goes. But I mean, seeing the reception, my Facebook feed is blowing up, Twitter's blowing up, and I mean, sure, there's negativity, but there's also more positivity than I've received in quite a bit. So it was good to see that.
James touched briefly on the fact that a lot of people seem to be stumbling into, and Arturo mentioned it as well, stumbling into changes or differences with Ultra that they weren't expecting, or that surprised them. Like when Arturo said, "Yo, damn, that guy can do that now." Do you feel like, first of all, I'll ask you just straight out, are there changes to the game that are not documented in the final change list that you guys published on Capcom Unity?
There shouldn't be. I mean, our dudes in Japan tested it out, and they released their change list. I released my change list. I mean, they should match up. I mean, if they don't, then it's probably my fault or something. But
well, do you feel like it's
regardless,
maybe? Do you feel like it's maybe? Go ahead.
Go ahead. No, go ahead. Whatever you're saying.
I was gonna say, do you feel like it's maybe a instance of some of these new systems like Red Focus or some of the hitbox changes that have been made to the game? Do you feel like it's maybe these things interacting in a weird way that you guys haven't seen yet?
No, that shouldn't be a case. That shouldn't be the case at all. Like, I mean, I've had the game since, for a while, I mean, with all the mechanics in there, and the hitbox interactions and things like that shouldn't have been any different,
So it's just a case that the game's new and people just don't know it yet.
Well, I mean, dude, at the location test, this is what was happening. People were like, "Oh, damn, combo! Did you change this move? Did you change this move? Did you change that move? Did you change this move?" And I was like, "No, those are untouched. Like these are the only changes here. Here's a list. These moves function the same." And people were like, "Oh, well, I don't know. It seems different." And I mean, I was getting that quite a bit, but I would see what they were talking about, and I would go back to my office and test it. And whenever people say something on Twitter, I immediately go to my setup that I have at the office that is the game, the dev version, where I can check everything on a frame by frame rate, and I can see if what they're saying is accurate or not. So like this other guy yesterday was like, "Oh, hey, the 360 and PS3 versions are different. What are you guys doing? Can't combo standing heavy kick into Red Focus. What are you guys doing? Releasing two versions?" And me and Hans were at work like, "Are you serious?" So we tested it out and it did work, and then we went on there and we were like, "What are you talking about, guy? You need to make sure your testing parameters are the same and make sure everything is the same before you come with these claims." And the guy was like, "I'm so sorry." So I mean, dude, it happens. Like I'm fully aware that like you never know what could happen in the grand scheme of things. Maybe some things slipped in, maybe they didn't. Like I don't know, right? You can't test for everything 100% when it comes to this stuff. But I can say like if anything comes up and people let me know, I will test it at the office. I will make sure that what they're saying, I'll either validate it or refute it. Granted that what they're sending to me makes sense.
You published a very thorough list on Capcom Unity. James, a lot of people looked at Ultra Street Fighter 4 comparing to say, Super Street Fighter 4, which introduced more characters, and gave everybody a second Ultra, or previous versions, and they looked at Ultra and they thought maybe maybe this is just a minor update. maybe this is like Arcade Edition, where we only got 4 new characters, and it doesn't really seem like that much is different. I just want to know if you agree. I feel like this is, a, this version of the game is pretty radically different from the previous version.
Well, I mean, to me, I feel like it's probably one of the biggest changes, mostly because it was the first really to implement, uh, basically 3 new system changes, right? The delayed wake up, the red focus, and the W Ultra. I mean, none of that stuff. I mean, pretty much from Street Fighter 4 to AE 2012, there was no new game mechanics outside of choosing Ultra, maybe that was introduced in Super. So I feel like this is probably one of the more significant changes, and in fact, already, just with the concept of red focus and how much damage you can get off of red focus is really, to me, changed the way the meter management of the game is, and like I said, it actually feels like probably one of the more significant changes out of all 5 versions.
Arturo, your thoughts on the differences between Ultra and the previous versions? Do you feel like this is a radical departure? Do you feel like it's, maybe time will tell, maybe it's not that big of a departure, we're just not used to it? How do you feel about this as far as degrees go?
Well, it's still Street Fighter 4, I guess. Like, it still has that engine, but definitely the pace of the game is different. The game, at least to me, like when I've been playing, like it feels faster, feels like it's sped up. Like, it's kind of like going, not quite as drastic as going from, say, Super Street Fighter 2 to Super Turbo, but I definitely think there's a speed difference there because like timing just feels a little different in general. Like when I land my stuff, like it could either be me or the timing's a little bit different. I can't really tell because it's not scientific. I'm just saying like what I feel right now. But yeah, pretty much, yeah. Game feels faster. Red focus allows for some craziness, and it just generally seems like people can do crazy stuff overall, which is kind of surprising because I'm always used to like these low damage situations, and then next thing you know, bam, red focus combo. We're back in there. And delayed wake up too. That definitely changes things up a bit. People aren't used to it. People are also getting hit doing delayed wake up and not knowing what side they're going to be on when they're waking up. Things like that. There's still like a heavy adjustment phase. It's very different.
Combo Fiend coming into Ultra as a part of the team that was making the decisions on how you guys are going to change the game. Um, Can you maybe give us some insight as to what some of your general overall philosophies were for Ultra as far as how you wanted the game to change overall? Because Art mentioned the game feels a little bit more aggressive. What direction were you guys wanting Street Fighter 4 to go in when you guys were sitting down to kind of talk about Ultra in the planning stages?
Well, the goal here was ideally to make everybody good. I mean, people, they want to see their character shine. At the end of the day, I wanted the game to be fun. And what equals fun to players that are competitive? Winning, right? So it's just about letting people finally win. Because, those guys who struggle with characters who are supposedly crappy, like, you want to make sure that they finally have characters that shine, right? Or that was my initial thought process. I wanted to make sure that these guys had options. If the characters could only play one way, give them options to play another way. And if that player who was specializing in that character maximized, both the aggressive and defensive options, they would excel. But only then. It's kind of like infiltration with the Kuma. When you watch him play with Akuma, he like kind of just turtles and he has the defensive options down. But then when he knocks you down and he goes into the vortex or whatever, he maximizes the offensive options. He knows when to turn it on and when to turn it off, right? And that's kind of what I wanted to see amongst the rest of the cast. I really wanted to see characters have that ability to play a back and forth game, so that players had something to learn, something to invest in, and when they maximize that, they possibly do well.
Character changes. James, who do you feel like is the best character in the game right now? I know it's early, but we lose James. Art, your pick for best character in the game right now.
I'd probably say Yun, but I think that he might have a hard time against grapplers like he usually does. I can see T Hawk, Zangief, maybe Hugo giving him some problems, but that's just a guess. But yeah, I definitely think Yun is number one.
Who do you feel might shape up down the line? Who do you got? Who do you look at down the road to maybe move up, or maybe who's getting slept on right now?
I mean, I feel like it's too early to tell. Like, I know you want like a concrete answer from me, but literally, like if the fact, even though it's the same game, I've been playing it for 2 days, and the metagame has totally changed to the point where I feel like I don't know anything anymore. And I do think there are a lot of characters that are good, but I can't say like who's the best right now. I'm scared of Elena's low hitbox, but I don't know about her as a character. Yeah.
She has a lot of like I wrote the foundation for the wiki for Ultra on IGN.com, and I was messing around with the beta build or with the preview build for the last few weeks, and while I was building the building the wiki pages, and I spent a lot of time playing Elena, and she just is weird to me. Like her jump is really floaty, and all the angles with her pokes, like all of her pokes coming out from different angles, and some of the angles feel like they're angles that no other character can cover, really, like as far as with pokes. I mean, she's really weird. I'm really looking forward to seeing how she.
Yeah, so much new stuff, and like at the end of the day, I guess that's what makes it fun. Because like with A 2012, I mean, I guess it got to the point where people knew they kind of had an idea of how things were gonna go, and with Ultra, I guess it does a really good job of mixing it up. Now nobody really knows what's gonna happen. Everything is kind of, for the most part, like things are kind of just turned on their head. So it's definitely interesting, to see because you're learning something new. I believe that at this point in the game, everybody's learning something new every time they play. Guaranteed. I know I am.
James, I was asking Art. Let me get your pick for best overall character in the game right now. I know it's been less than a week, but who are you looking at right now? Like,
I mean, to be honest with you, it's really hard to say because it is still so new. A lot of people right now are worried about Yun. On paper, he seems really strong. Personally, when I looked at the change list, one of the characters that I was worried about most was Viper. I feel like she's really, really strong. I felt like she was really strong in 2012, and she mostly got buffs in this game. So that actually caught me by surprise. So now I actually feel like she's going to be pretty threatening because she doesn't use a lot of meter, and she's going to have a lot of access to her red focus combos, which is not going to be hard to connect with her as much as other characters because of the increased range, crouch forward, and the thunder knuckle being just a direct combo into red focus. So I feel like she's going to be a good character, but it's hard to say right now because we didn't get to see any Vipers at either tournament really yesterday.
Combo. Which character? Who's somebody mute? Okay. Which character or characters are you feeling the happiest with, the proudest of coming into Ultra? The characters that you guys maybe you're looking at and you're like, yeah, we nailed it.
Hold on real quick. Let me just pull up the character selection screen. Just so I could
There's
like
a lot
look
of
at them.
characters now.
No, there are a lot, but I mean, I really feel like certain characters hit the mark. Like, I mean, a lot of players will disagree because unless you give them the win button, they're not happy. Like then that's what I've had to come face to face with. It's that no matter, nothing shy of giving them something outlandish would make them happy. It has to be an easy win. But like the characters I think that are viable, and I mean, as I said, a lot of people will disagree with me. Like I really think that like Yang is super sick. I think that Rose is super sick. I think Vega's hot. I think Zangief really hits the mark. Abel's a lot better. Dudley's on point. Chun Li's there. Blanca to an extent. Gouken. Like I really feel like, and that's just I'm just throwing names out right now from what I see. I mean, I would say a lot of other characters, but I'm sure that would be I'm sure I'd get a lot of hate because people just don't want to admit that their characters are where they'd like them to be. I think that Cammy's still really serious. You know, I mean, but it is what it is. People think what they want to think, so
Of
I'm not here
course.
to try to stir the pot. I mean, I feel that at the end of the day, some characters are just more apparent than others in terms of how awesome they are. But for others, you have to take into account the system mechanics to fully understand how good they've become.
What character are you playing right now?
Me?
Yeah, you.
I mean, I'm seriously, I'm playing a lot of DJ. Like, I can't even lie to you. Like, I'm just like, oh, because like all I see is that a lot of DJ players are unhappy with the direction that he went, and I mean, understandably so. So I'm sitting there and I'm playing the character, and I'm seeing, like, is it really that this character is a lot more horrid than I thought he was because it's not as bad as I thought, or is it just me being oblivious? So I'm, playing that character quite a bit, playing Den quite a bit because I think he's entertaining, and also some Bison because I think Bison is also really sick.
Yeah, Bison, coming into Ultra as a Bison player, he feels really different in this version. I'm still getting used to him, but just the standing medium punch, change is a huge change as far as he's concerned. So, yeah. First question, I'm going to kind of intersperse these. We've been getting questions all day from social media, and I'm going to intersperse these throughout the conversation here. First one is for you, Combo, and it's a screen. I got a screenshot of the player data screen with the prize code option, and if you could tell us, I don't know if you can or not, but this individual wants to know, his name is Leonard _Lie on Twitter. He wants to know what are prize codes and if there are any Ultra Street Fighter 4 events that are planned.
I mean, I can't really go into that now, but I'll have more info for you later.
All right, no, that's cool.
I mean, sorry.
I saw it too. I was kind of wondering myself, but that's something unexpected. None of us really saw coming. Speaking of events, though, let's talk a little bit about Capcom Pro Tour. What do you guys got planned for E3, if you can tell us about that?
So for E3, we have. I don't know if you saw the post on Capcom Pro Tour, but we're gonna have a bunch of pro players there, and while they're out there, they're going to assist us in various exhibitions. They're going to be playing with those who want to play. They'll also be coaching them. We'll have some exhibitions, and then on the final day, we're gonna have an exhibition amongst those that we've invited. And we're going to be streaming that on Capcom Fighters.
Nice. Arturo, what's the next Capcom Pro Tour event you're going to go to?
Well, I wasn't planning on going to any, so I won Battle Circuit last night. I may go. I don't know. Yeah, I'm thinking. Yeah, I'm just saying. Yeah, like I was just planning to go to Evo, and that was it for me. But like I may do CEO depending on how ticket prices are. That is yeah, of course. Yeah, they're flying out. Yeah, that's definitely a CPT event. So if that's the next one and I decide to go, I might be there.
Dude, that's a premier event. If you win that one, you get a free spot.
Yeah, that'll be sick. Yeah, because like I think I'm like in like top 20 or something, maybe like 16th. I still need like a significant amount of points to even touch the rest of the EG guys. So yeah, I'm definitely interested in going.
Well, going as a player and a producer, the team here at 10-0, which is I Play Winner plus Team Spooky, we're all going to be working on the Evo mainstream, I think. So you're going to be doing that. You're going to be playing.
No. Are you asking me? Oh no. I don't do production at Evo. I'm just a player. Although
really?
I do come by, and shout you guys out from time to time. Say what's up, good job, etc. But yeah, like I really respect what you guys do at Evo and stuff because I know you guys are there for like 3 days and like it sucks. You don't get to have any fun. So yeah.
Well, this year we're also going to have Capcom Fighters on board. They're going to be streaming a lot of the Ultra Street Fighter 4 matches as a part of the Capcom Pro Tour because Evolution is a Capcom Pro Tour tournament. So we're going to be back and forth. We're going to be doing a lot of the Yeah, I think we're going to. I don't know the exact details. I know we're doing a lot of the other games. So, but yeah, that's going to be really cool. I got a question. I'm going to actually pose this to the panel since one of the questions involves Combo Fiend. It's from Hanzo Gonzo. I'll ask. I'll ask James. James, who would win in a first to five between well, Hanzo Gonzo would lose. Who would win in a first to five between Mike Ross and Combo Fiend?
Mike Ross and Combo Fiend?
Yeah, first to five.
First to five between Mike Ross and Combo Fiend. Well, I mean, obviously Combo Fiend has a lot more experience with this game right now, but you know, Mike Ross has those magic reads that he talks about all the time. So it just depends on if Peter's previous knowledge will outdo it. But if I had to bet on one of them, if I had to pick on one of them, I would pick Combo Fiend. Free, yeah.
I like how your answer was so diplomatic, right? And you were sounding like, oh, you know, it might be a hard call, but it was like, yeah, I bet on Peter Free.
Yeah, right there at the end. You know, it could go back and forth, but I like Combo Fiend 5-0. Arturo, Mike Ross versus Combo Fiend, first to five. Who do you like?
Is this a real question?
Yeah, Hanzo Gonzo sent that question in.
Come on, man. Well, yeah, we all know the answer. Like, I'm never gonna beat around the bush. It's obviously Combo, man.
Oh my god!
Oh damn!
Shots.
No, I think I'm firing shots. I mean, Mike. I believe that Mike in short sets, he can definitely surprise somebody. But if it was like an exhibition style format, like I like Combo in a long set for sure.
Are you trying to say that Mike gets his wins in short sets because he's random and that's what wins in short sets?
No, no, he's just very unexpected. Like he catches people by surprise.
You realize that unexpected is a synonym for random, right?
No, only by your logic.
Hey, get out, Art. Yeah.
All right. Esteban sent this question in. This is for Combo Fiend. Are you guys going to make any changes to the presentation or any additions to the game itself for the retail version of the game versus the DLC version of the game?
Nope.
So it's going to be the same game either way.
Well, no. When you get the home version, you get all the costumes.
Right. That's why I just remember that when I said you get all the alternate. Is it all the alternate costumes? Like all three sets? I think
It's all the previously released costumes ever. So
that's sick.
yeah. And I think there's I think like right now if you play Ultra, it says Super Street Fighter 4, and then when you push start, it becomes Ultra or something.
Yeah.
You'll get a nifty Ultra logo.
Oh, that's cool. Art, I'm going to pose this question for you.
Yeah, I'm here.
Year from now, do you see Ultra turning in a race for meter to hit red focus, or do you see that characters who use red focus will be S tier in this game, or do you feel like maybe it'll kind of balance it out?
Well, I think early on, the way the game's being played now is going to be a lot different than how it's going to be played later on. Yeah, I do think red focus setups are going to definitely. It's like we're already seeing the damage potential from it. Just for simple red focus combos from like Viper, Yun, even Zangief can do some stuff. So like it's definitely gonna have some sick combos though. Like I'm looking forward to seeing all those broken combos in tournaments, as long as they're not landed on me.
What's funny is when Vanilla came out, I remember we played the game a lot at Keystone, and back then it was like if you could hit FADC into a combo like week one, that was mind blowing. And the characters who could do that really, like Ryu with all of his hit confirms into Shoryu into FADC, like he was the best character. And everybody was talking about how broken he was because of focus attack dash. And now it's red focus. It's come back full circle. And like red focus is super broken. But I mean, it takes 3 bars. Most characters, you don't save meter that easily with certain characters, so.
Yeah, I mean, that was one of the things that I noticed a lot while watching Wednesday Night Fights and Next Level Battle Circuit was that people were still spamming EX moves like, the previous version, like AE 2012. So they weren't really saving the meter. But then guys like Snake Eyes definitely was saving meters for those crazy Zangief comebacks. And so I feel like that's kind of one of the future directions of the game, is that it is going to be a lot more meter's going to be super valuable in this game. I think it's like the meter management is going to be a huge factor in this game.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. Because like even with me when I was playing Rose, I was playing like A2012, going for the EX fireballs a lot when I should really be going for setups into red focus or setups into EX drill, so it does 200 stun. So like I can agree with you on that.
All right. Going back to Twitter here, Drew the Red Mage wants to know. This is actually an interesting question, and I'll pose it to James first. So for the past couple of years, we've seen this sort of. It's all well, it's not just happened the past couple of years. This has been the case since games were, made, but it's gotten a lot of publicity over the internet and stuff the past few years as players who have access to the game before the game releases. I think this was kind of a meme with Injustice, actually.
Mhm.
The quote unquote, the testers.
Right. Uh-huh.
What do you think is the most common misconception about these kind of tester players? What do you feel like? What are your thoughts on the testers and the tournament scene?
I mean, if you just look at the history, I mean, even for games like Injustice, yeah, I mean, I'm not sure who exactly was officially a tester for that game. I mean, are they the ones that are winning all the tournaments right now?
No, no, I can say that as a tester. Like, I think there is some advantage. There is it pretty much falls to the wayside within the first month, especially since people get early copies of the game and stuff. Like I remember when Injustice came out and I was playing build after build after build after build, and the game finally dropped, and then people got an early copy, and they were already ahead like on meta that I didn't even know existed by the time the game dropped. I'm like, what the hell? Like, there's no advantage. There's barely any advantage at all after the first month, in my opinion.
Yeah, because that's what I was thinking. It's like I don't feel like the testers are winning all of the tournaments and stuff like that, right? So I mean,
It's just a good player to get. The only tester that's still blowing it up, I think, is I would say 16-bit. He works for NRS though now.
right.
I think that's pretty. Like I also think that's pretty sick that NRS allows the testers to enter tournaments. I wish Capcom would do that because I would love to see Combo tear it up. Of course.
Yeah.
Haunts would still be asked, by the way. We got a question here, and I'm going to read the question, and then I'll kind of pose it as a more general question afterwards. First, just wants to know the rationale. This is for Combo Fiend, by the way. The rationale behind certain fireballs going through Hugo (Sagat) doesn't seem like oversight, but maybe a design decision. And I've seen people talking about this the past couple of days, specifically regarding Hugo's relatively unique hitbox and hurt boxes. Combo Fiend, you want to shed a little insight into how Hugo operates within the game as far as his hitbox goes?
Yeah, so that was one of the bigger issues that came up early on. When we first got Hugo in there, and I played against Hans at work, he was throwing high tiger shots and it was hitting me, and I thought, wow, this is kind of crazy. And then I jumped over it and I fierced him, and it hit him about 3/4 screen away, and I thought, haha, you can't even throw a high tiger shot. This is awesome. So you throwing a high tiger shot is actually detrimental to you, but it's also really difficult for a non-high level player to think of something like that, right? So they would actually, in reality, just get bodied by somebody throwing a high tiger shot. So then what we looked at was, how do we react to this situation? And if you look at Cross Tekken, it's the same thing. Tiger shots go through his head. So, since it's already present somewhere else, we didn't think it was too much of an issue to add it to Ultra Street Fighter 4, especially to make sure that this match didn't become like a 10-0 match in the hands of people who weren't at the highest level or approaching a higher level of play.
You mentioned Cross Tekken. 4 out of the 5 new characters are from Cross Tekken, or well, they appeared in Cross Tekken, and they made the transition over, I think, pretty well. Some of them are pretty different than their previous versions. Some of them are similar. What was your thought process having these characters make the next generation move from Cross Tekken to Street Fighter 4? As far as which of the characters do you think you changed the most, or which of the characters did you think you wanted to kind of keep the same because you felt like in Cross Tekken they kind of hit the sweet spot?
Well, Cross Tekken is so much of a different game, and that was the thing that I had to learn immediately when we put them into Ultra. So when we brought the characters, when we transferred the frame data over and things like that, unfortunately we were seeing that like their frame data didn't match, because in Cross Tekken there's a lot more hits done on certain attacks, and the game is a lot more loose with the boost chain system. So characters would, like if Elena hit Ryu with the short, he would spin like half screen away, and it was crazy stuff like that. And we had to adjust all of that. And once that was adjusted, we saw that the characters actually didn't feel like cross-stacking characters. I mean, there was things that were off about them, but other than that, they got normalized. That was a term we used. They got normalized to the Street Fighter world, and once we saw that, they all kind of changed. But even after that, there were tweaks made to like Hugo, right? So I was like, I want to make sure that the third strike essence is felt with this Hugo. I don't want him to be like Cross Tekken in any shape or form. So we kind of tweaked his frame data so that he'd be just this footsie guy who was in control. That was, he was kind of hard to play with, but he had the tools to be great. Same thing with Elena. I tried to look at the third strike version of her and have players kind of feel that, but address the weaknesses that she had. Whereas in Cross Tekken, she doesn't really have anything, and same thing with Poison. In Cross Tekken, Poison has all the tools, but she kind of sucks because she doesn't do any damage. So we kind of wanted to give her damage, and we just worked on characters like that, and we tried to have a different approach here to address their weaknesses that they may have had in Cross Tekken, but at the same time give them the essence from what players may have recognized them from. Previous games players may have recognized them from. Hello?
I mean, actually, I'm just curious about something, because I know like Poison's design in Cross Tekken, was that actually kind of based off of her style in Final Fight Revenge? I think it was, because I always wonder what the decision was to go with her with like make her kind of like a fireball zoning character and such.
Well, I mean, I can't tell you that because that was her initial design that Dims created for Cross Tekken. But I could tell you that in Street Fighter 4, we saw that she had the tools for everything, but she was kind of like a jack of all trades, master of none. And the goal was to at least make her the master of something. So in Ultra, if you play her in close, she could do some really cool stuff. But it seems that people are trying to play her more as a zoning mid-range character, and that's why you see she kind of. It seems that her potential, to me, seems at least right now untapped.
Okay.
All right. I'm going to switch back over here to another question. This one comes from @Terranine, and it's for Combo Feed again. He wants to know if you may have to give a diplomatic answer to this one, but if there's any one particular character that you and the team had trouble with working on Ultra Street Fighter 4.
Trouble with in terms of how to balance them and such. I'd say one of the characters was El Forte, right? So I mean, we got David Hines over there in England, and he plays El Forte, and he would give recommendations, and we were like, oh, okay, cool, and then we would try them, but then because like let's say he gave them to me and I didn't understand El Forte that much, I would like kind of put his changes in, but they'd be a little off, and then he'd come back and say, Peter, maybe we should address this or change that, and we tried to put his things in the game, and the things that the feedback that he got, because he was distilling that, and sometimes it was a little odd, and none of us have mastered a Forte, so then Japan would look at it and they'd say, hey, we should look at this again, and he took the longest to kind of get right, or at least have the players feel confident in, just because we were unsure of how his changes would change him. So his initial set we thought was good, and then apparently the dude in Japan who plays El Forte was like, well, I'm switching characters, and David was like, I think you should look back at these changes. They're not as good as, they're supposed to be. And, we kept going back and forth, and it finally came to the point where now El Fuerte is in a place where, the El Fuerte players are like, okay, this is what I'm talking about. So I mean, he did take a while, and it was kind of like one of those last minute characters we got right.
That's cool. I actually saw Ski Sonic on Twitter today talking about El Forte and talking about how he has a couple of new things that he didn't know about, and he's really surprised and happy with the characters. So that's really cool. Yeah, I don't know anything about that character, so
Yeah, he's so obscure. I mean, we want to make sure that or even the players or the characters that have like the fewest players were addressed. And I mean, we try to do it to the best of our abilities. So
all right. And then we got another question here. I'm going to pass this over to Arturo, and maybe James can follow up. I'm going to give this to the panel in general. Passion 2 Moon. Arturo, it's been a long time since you were a beginner, but this guy wants to know if you have any tips on building fundamentals and tips on working in the training room.
Well, it's probably a bad question for me to ask because like I'm not really a training mode kind of guy. I'm kind of more like an arcade guy, so I just kind of play as I go. I think if you're starting out for the first time, if you're new to Street Fighter, I would say try not to pick a complicated character and try to pick a character that relies only on normals and one button anti-airs. And like during that, the reason why I say that is because during the beginning process, control is a big issue, and doing complex moves is a big issue. So I feel like you want to start off with a simple character that has easy motions and easy access to anti-airs if you're just going to start playing.
That's really, really good practical advice, actually. James, do you have any tips for a beginner or any insight into how to get the most out of your time in training mode?
Yeah, I mean, one of the hard things is that a lot of people are watching on stream these days, and so all they ever see are crazy combos, and so they just try to learn combos, and then the expert training thing is like, oh, try these hard combos. And unfortunately, I think that kind of puts too much of an emphasis on trying to learn combos. Really, training mode is about trying to familiarize yourself with your characters. Like, find some moves that you like, find some moves that kind of, I've said this before on other streams, just like pick a few moves that you kind of like, learn to use them, and it doesn't matter if they're good or not yet, because you're just starting out in the game. So find the moves that you want to use, and as you play, you'll start to kind of learn the weaknesses and strengths of these buttons that you keep hitting. And then you can go back into training mode and try to find other moves to supplement those or to replace them as better moves. And as you keep doing that, you're just trying to gain familiarity with your character. And yeah, and Art mentioned a really important thing too, which is movement. But movement is one of the hardest things to train for in training mode because movement really comes down to reacting to what your opponent is doing. So movement a lot of times really is just learning how to play, just jumping online and throwing yourself into the fire.
Yeah. Like I think a lot of that, like the movement stuff, it definitely comes down to experience. But on the training mode thing, I think if you're going to use training mode for anything as a beginner, it's I think it's to like isolate execution issues out because I know what they feel like because I'm a player with really bad execution. I can't do combos or like anything. But just to give you an example, I guess before Ultra came out, I spent the last couple of weeks practicing in training mode, practicing Dalsum Ultra 2 setups, especially since I was overlapping with teleports. So I would sit there with the command interpreter on, just trying to iron it out on both sides. I would practice it on both sides so I wouldn't get accidental teleports, things of that nature. I would practice.
Yeah, that's really important. Learning to keep that the input display on. That is very, very helpful and can help you learn why you're not getting your moves out. I don't think people use that enough sometimes.
Definitely not.
All right, Combo. We talked earlier, Ultra is a pretty big departure from previous versions of the game. Are you feeling like this is going to be, the definitive version of Street Fighter 4? People look back at the game. Are they going to say, like, this is the best version? Or is this going to be, the like, do you guys really feel like you nailed it in, got the changes down, and made just, like, delivered the final product, the best Street Fighter 4 you guys could do? Maybe you feel like... Go ahead.
I feel like this game definitely addressed a lot of the things that the fans have called out for. And I think that is something that they should, or not they should, but well, yeah, they should just be they should be happy about that they're playing a game that they influence, right? So, unblockables. Everyone and their mom is like, Jesus Christ, unblockables suck. It took 4 years to really bring it to rear its ugly head, but it got to the point where if you didn't know unblockables, you were by default going to lose, right? Like you just had to know them at the highest level, and people were like, I don't like this one player game scenario. I want to be able to actually play this game, and it turned off a lot of people. We addressed that. Now you can play. People were like, if my character had X, Y, and Z, I'd be a threat or something, and they finally got that. Because it was things that we weren't looking at, things that it wasn't on our mind. I can tell you for a fact that a lot of the changes that came in, the Japanese players weren't looking at, and a lot of the feedback that came from Japan were things that American players weren't looking at, or sorry, Western players were looking at. So everybody kind of got their share of voice, and there are things put into the game. I mean, there's addition select in case people want to relive the past. There's this team battle mode, online practice mode. There's just a ton of stuff in the game for people to play if they like Street Fighter 4, if they want to play Street Fighter 4. And on top of that, there's all these new mechanics and characters and things that have went in. So, I mean, if we're saying definitive, I would definitely call it that.
I definitely feel like there's a lot to this version. Usually when I get a new version of a game, I want to play around with the new characters. That's what I think that's what most people do. But with this version, I'm almost as interested in finding out how characters are different and how they play different. Like this version of the game almost feels like the difference between vanilla Marvel and Ultimate Marvel. Like it's very different in ways. Combos are different, and delayed wake up makes the game very different. So I would say you guys, it's not even. Maybe not even the definitive version of Street Fighter 4. Maybe it's its own game. It's like the difference between World Warrior and Super Turbo. Like at this point, it's so different. It could be just a whole other thing. But so far, so good. Last question from Twitter. Moose King 86 wants to know what direction Combo Fiend is the CPT moving towards ahead of 2014, and are you guys planning more events outside of the US in 2014, specifically in Japan in 2014 or 2015?
Well, the goal is definitely to expand and bring Street Fighter just to a greater general audience. I mean, as for our exact plans, I can't speak to that just yet. It is quite a bit of a way away. So in regards to that, it's kind of one of those sit tight and just hold up. We'll come at you with some more info soon enough.
James, last question. I'll give it to you. Follow up to what Combo Fiend was talking about. If you could go anywhere in the world on a Capcom Pro Tour tournament to commentate, where would you go?
Right. You know what? I have never been to Japan yet. I still have never been to Japan.
Wow.
So,
okay.
I mean, by default, I'd almost have to say, I just want to go there. Because, it's just, it's definitely a place that I am missing on my to-go list. So.
All right. There you have it. I want to send a thank you to all of our panel guests. We got a lot of events coming up over the course of the next couple weeks and months, not just Capcom Pro Tour. Curly South is this Saturday on Team Spooky, twitch.tv/Team Spooky. Arturo wins Spring Fighter. I know that's on your channel. What days?
Oh, Spring Fighter is also the same time as Curly Mustache. So it's going to be a back-to-back Team Spooky weekend on NYC Furby on Twitch.
Right on. So we're going to have Curly South for all you Marvel heads on twitch.tv/Team Spooky. And then you're going to be able to get some more Ultra action on twitch.tv/NYC Furby as Arturo covers the Spring Fighter tournament out in New York. And then for you guys here on the West Coast of the Bay Area, we've got 2 tournaments coming up with Ultra Street Fighter 4. We've got Alpha Clash here in Mountain View. I think the next one is Saturday. So if you guys are at home watching Curly and you want to play some Ultra and you're in the area, come out to the Hacker Dojo. Starts at 7. They'll also have Marvel 3. And then I think Bay Area Fight Night, it's going to be their last tournament in downtown Oakland. and they are going to be doing that Friday. Yeah, Friday at 7. So the a whole big packed weekend of tournaments. We got locals on I Play Winter on Friday and Saturday. We got stuff on Team Spooky on Saturday, and we've got stuff on NYC Furby. So 10-0. Got you guys covered for Ultra and Marvel. Lots of crazy Marvel stuff. We're actually going to talk about that next week, guys. Some things came to light this week on Marvel vs. Capcom 3. We'll talk about that in the future of the game next week with our panel to be determined. But I want to send a quick thanks to the guy who filled in for the absentee Mike Ross, James Chen, at twitter.com/jchensor. Our very special guest tonight here to talk about Ultra. Thank you for your time coming out. Twitter.com/thecombofiend. And last but not least, Twitter.com/esports Twitch Champion Zone NYC Furby in the building tonight. My name is Derry. Make sure you guys subscribe to our YouTube and Twitch channels at youtube.com or twitch.tv/iplaywinner so you can know when this show or our other podcasts, The Show That Sucks or Super Desperation Radio, go live. Those two shows typically Monday and Tuesday at 7 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. And until next time, for the absentee Magus 1234, yo Fray.